Hey guys, Lynn Burke here, Blues City music owner. In Seattle with my brother, Mike Soldano. We're in the shop right now. Mike Ariza's with us. I've been doing some really good videos for us. He's filming for us now. Russ is behind us working. You might hear some noise there.
Don's over here.
Don's over here filling a circuit board. Business as usual here in Soldano. What we're going to show you today, one thing about Blue City Music as well as Soldano Custom Amplification is all about custom stuff. Okay, if it's within reason and it's expensive, you're willing to pay for it. Bottom line is, sky's the limit. So what we're looking at today, I had a call from a good buddy of mine, Steve King, that's bought a number of SLOs for me, and he said, you know, I love my SLOs. And I really dig the 25, just like a lot of my Hot Rod 25 customers have said. I love the loop on that. Is there any way Mike would consider doing a post-master volume effects level effects loop on the SLO? So I asked Mike about it, and he said, yeah, he'll take a look at it. Me personally, I love the plus 4 dB loop. That's my favorite loop, hands down. But there's some guys that decided, hey, with flexibility, with versatility, they might appreciate the fact of having a post-master volume effects level effects loop. So anyway, that's what we did on this. This is Steve King's amp. Mike's working on this now. Yeah. So Mike, go ahead and tell them what have you done with this particular loop?
Okay, so a normal SLO, as you know, has a serial loop that occurs before the tone stack and before the master volumes, and going way back to 1987 when I designed that. The reason for designing it the way I did back then was because the quality of many of the effects at the time were, to put it gently, not great. We have so much better stuff nowadays, equipment-wise, when it comes to effects, because there's better ICs that are quieter. Digital stuff has replaced analog, although I tend to like analog. When you were doing analog delays, there was noise that was introduced because of the clock that they had that would have to, do whatever. I don't understand that stuff very well, so all I know is that there was this noise that analog delays had and stuff. So my thinking was, if you put the loop before the masters and before the tone controls, any of the tone that gets sucked out by the effect could be brought back with the tone controls, and then any level change that you got going through the loop, because most of these old effects didn't have very good return volume, could be compensated for with the masters. And and it still works today that way. I mean, it's a great loop. It's worked for 30 plus years, and it's still going strong. However, there's a new trend towards people wanting to have a little bit more control over their overall system, more like a rack system. Like they almost want more like the preamp, power amp kind of thing we had back in the 80s, but they don't want the big refrigerator-sized racks of gear anymore. They want to do it with just their head. So the postmaster volume kind of solves that problem. Okay. Or postmaster loop, I should say. And this one happens to also have a volume control. It's going to be a custom built thing. And what that means is, basically now we're putting the loop after the tone controls and after the masters. So the preamp section of this amp is now operating as a standalone preamp. And then you're coming back into the amp directly in front of the power section. There's no volume control after that, at least in most cases. You're just going straight into the power amp. Okay. And now you've got this separation between the preamp and the power amp. And that's what we're building here. And this particular amp is going to have an additional level control on the back panel that is going to act as a master volume. And this is going to give you master volume control over the power amp section. Okay. So basically, you'll be able to, if you want to, and just use this SLO as a power amp, you'll be able to plug into the return jack, and it's going to go straight to this volume control and straight into the power section, and you could use this thing to run your PA system if you wanted to. It's going to be a dead clean power amp. Okay. So that's where we made the separation. So I'm building some additional circuitry here, making some modifications to the original SLO's architecture. And what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to take a signal off of the switching system that normally would be separating between the two master volumes, that signal, instead of going straight into the power amp, is now going to go into a tube buffer driver. This tube buffer driver is going to go out through the effects send. You're going to bring the signal back in, like I just talked about, into the return. Okay. The return is going to take you back, right back into the power amp section, and away you go. So this is now basically just doing a more surgical separation of the preamp and the power amp, and it's just a different way to run effects. And this was a request by your customer to get this special thing, and this is the loop that is also now in our Hot Rod 25, because the Hot Rod 25, being a new design, I wanted to address some of the newer, uses of these kind of pieces of gear. So this is basically the Hot Rod 25 loop, put in an SLO with the addition of this extra volume control on the back, and it's gonna probably be pretty awesome when it's all done.
Now, at one time we had talked about that the individual masters would be the effects send.
Yeah, so basically,
so
now basically what happens is you can now use the master volumes on the front of the amp as your effects send level controls, because now that you have this additional master on the back, you don't have to necessarily rely on the masters on the front for the overall amp volume.
Oh, sure.
You can use these to drive your effects. So if you have an effect that has a really high input sensitivity but a very low threshold on that input to where it can't handle a hot signal, you can just turn those masters way down. You don't overload your effect that way.
Oh, wow.
And then when it comes back in, of course, it's going to be a really weak signal and it's not even loud, but now you've got this additional master on the back, and you can crank that up to compensate for what you lost going through the pedal.
Okay, I got you. Now, how about, what are we doing with the slate out now?
Well, so I had to move some stuff around just to make this thing work, from the physical standpoint. So on the back, what I've done is the adjustable slave level is now gone. It's going to have a fixed level slave that's going to be located here. I've moved the foot switch from here over to here, so this is now going to be the foot switch, and I'll relabel all this stuff when it's done. And so this will be that overall return level control.
Sure.
This will be a fixed slave out, which nobody will probably ever use, and this will be the foot switch.
Yeah, but this will still be a 1/4-inch mono.
Oh yeah, it'll be mono, and,
yeah,
it'll be there for somebody who wants to use it. But
it's permanent.
Slating is kind of a thing of the past these days. Not too many people are doing it. But I put it there because there's a hole to fill, and why not? It's something. It still keeps it functional.
Okay. So at one time we were talking about what this, again, this is just making it more available for some guys that choose that, because there's plenty of guys, 99% of the players out there love the plus 4 dB loop.
Oh, it works great.
I love the loop.
Yeah, any kind of modern effect works perfectly fine in the stock SLO loop. Originally, back in the 80s and 90s, you had to use professional gear to work in our loop. But I was building a professional amp. I didn't care about some guy putting a $39 Dan electro pedal in the loop. That didn't even occur to me, because
absolutely,
I was optimizing the amp for the guys who really, if you're stepping up for an amp this expensive, you're going to step up for some good gear. And I didn't want to compromise the quality of the loop for it'd be kind of like putting it'd be like putting bias ply tires on a Ferrari or something.
Or 87 octane.
Yeah, or 87 octane gas in a Ferrari. You don't do that. So if you're already driving a Ferrari, you optimize for the best gas and the best tires. And the same thing here. When I originally designed the SLO loop, I optimized it for the best effects that were on the market at the time, because this was the best amp that was on the market at the time. And I figured you'd be pairing your new best amp with the latest in effects technology, and that's where that loop came from. And like I say, nowadays you can buy almost any pedal and it'll work in that loop, because everything it can handle that kind of signal.
So most of these guys out there that may have old vintage pedals that are effects level.
Yeah, or guitar level is what they are. So they're generally older, more basic effects are about minus 20 dB.
Sure.
And most rack mount kind of effects or modern effects either are +4 or 0 dB, or they have the selectability to where you can have that. And our original loop is optimized for about 0 to +4 dB.
Okay. Okay.
So, and we can even modify our regular serial loop to be lower level. We just need to know that in advance when we're building the amp.
Which is the great thing about this is you've got all kinds of opportunities with this loop. Whether it's as it's been for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about you could adjust the
We can
serial
adjust.
loop. You could adjust
We
that.
can adjust the level.
Or you could go to the
Or you
postmaster
can
volume.
do this guy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
So-
is a lot of work though, so this is not the inexpensive way to go. You know.
Understood. So
Yeah.
in this particular case, on Steve's amp here, so we're looking at the normal cost for doing this for your labor and parts. Where are we for this right now? Where do you anticipate this to go?
It's gonna be around $400. You know, upcharge kind
Sure.
of thing.
Now, how about for a guy that's got a 92 SLO? It's gonna take a lot of work.
Well, it's gonna be extra work because I have to pull the amp halfway apart to get to drill these holes and to do all this wiring down in here. So if you're sending in an amp to have it retrofitted, you know, you might be looking at another $150 in labor to take it apart to get in there and do it. If we do it while we're building it, a lot less work.
Sure, because the shock rate's $100 an hour.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and it costs to do that. So the cool thing about this is it's the versatility for whatever anybody wants. No excuses. You can get in there right now and you run all your old pedals with this option. Quite frankly, I run everything. Well, actually, the only thing I run through my loop on either of my 3 SLOs is a delay.
Yeah, and there's great delays out there. You can just plug it and go.
Right. Sometimes if I don't feel like fooling with all that, I just plug everything into the input and just go from there.
Yeah,
And I don't have any trouble with that either. So this is the great thing about it. Mike's been going to 11 since 1987. Nobody around here does custom amplification like that. Very few, if any, of my manufacturers I deal with will go to this extent for custom stuff. It's available. Give us a call. Give Mikey a call. And we'll get this taken care of. But thanks, Mikey, for addressing this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Steve King's going to love this amp.
He is.
You know,
it's going to be awesome.
he's only got like 6 SLOs, but this will be
This will
big
be
addition.
that's another one for the collection.
There you go.
know.
So
We like it, Steve.
That's right. And he also ordered a matching cab to go along with this that Russ is back over here working on. Thanks, guys. Blue City Music, Soldano Custom Amplification.
Going to 11 since 1987.
There you go. We'll see you.